7 years now. So these are relationships that make it takes a village, so she's part of our village.
Yeah.
Kathleen, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How is everybody today?
We're great. Good.
Yay. Yay. So I want to say thank you for having me, and thank you guys for taking the time to come today and invest in yourself to attend my presentation. I wanted to make sure that everyone, when you came in, there were some things on the table. One is an outline of my presentation so you can follow along. I wrote in some things so that you could, instead of writing constantly, be able to pay attention more. I know when I'm writing, I lose track of where I'm at when somebody's talking. So one is the outline for today. The other one, this one, is my business card, and it talks about the different services that I provide. One side is my home safety side. The other side is the Care Partner Aging Resource Consultant services I provide. This form here is called the Steady Self-Assessment Fall Risk. You fill this out, and you add up your score. If you score 4 or more, you are at risk for falling. The higher the number, the higher your risk for falling. And I encourage you to share this with your physician. Keep it in your records, but also give a copy to your PCP because it's a baseline. And when you go back for annual physicals or every 6 months, however often you visit, you can revisit this and see if you're better, worse, or the same, and figure out a plan as to what to do to improve it, okay? The other thing that I provided is a quality of life assessment. On one side, it relates to aging in place and safety. On the other side, it's about personal health and wellness. As Kimberly mentioned, I use a holistic approach when I perform my services, so I look at the whole person, the environment, as well as the care partners that people have. And so I look at the big picture. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? There are pens on that back table provided by Kelsey, sorry, if you need a pen.
Anybody want a pen? Is there a chance that if somebody were to turn this into their physician and their physician were to deem them to be at risk, that they would take further action to curtail their living at home alone?
I would say that I can't answer what that physician would do. Each physician is different, but I would say that this would be concrete, a concrete evidence that someone has issues with falls.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it is
the very people that are not going to do this.
Yes, yes.
Like my mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She won't do this.
Yeah, and one thing you should know, this Steady fall risk assessment, I have the client fill that out, but I also have a caregiver and or adult child fill it out. Sometimes they match, oftentimes they do not. So it is important to, if you can, get both perspectives. And I would definitely have a conversation with the physician about it and your concerns.
Do you have these forms in a PDF format if somebody wanted to?
I do not. I think.
Are they on Word document?
Actually, I got this off of the National Institute for Aging site, and I got this years ago, but it is such a valuable tool, I just keep using it. So you can look up the Steady Stop Elderly Accidents, Deaths, and Injuries, the Steady Fall Risk Assessment. I'm sure you could download it from there, or just make a copy of the one I gave you.
Or any of your other stuff, do you have it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so should they contact you via email then?
Sure,
Okay,
yeah. Email or text,
or we can put it on the website,
sure.
either way.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so going over the outline for today, aging is a progression that is constantly changing. Does your home support your ability to remain independent, safe, and secure as you age? So I understand the physical, emotional, and psychological stress people may face due to environmental barriers at home and in public, limited caregiver support, insufficient financial resources, and simply not knowing where to turn for guidance when life-changing health events occur. Coming next month, September is National Fall Prevention Month. My goal today is to challenge you to start thinking proactively. My hope is that you will find value in this presentation and that you have a better understanding of what causes falls, how to avoid them, and what you can do as soon as you get home to begin creating a supportive environment to optimize your safety and independence. Not only a supportive environment, but also how you can improve your quality of life by just doing simple daily activities that won't take much of your time. How many of you live independently? Pretty much everybody in this room. How many of you are caregivers for a family member or friend? 2, 3? I am. Long distance. It doesn't have to be immediate. Okay. Have any of you, a family member or friend, experienced a fall in the past year? Okay. Do you have a family member or friend that has a fear of falling? Or do you have a fear of falling?
It's always on your mind.
Absolutely. And that is one thing. Once a person has fallen, their risk for falls increases because of the experience. And then, are you noticing things that are more difficult than they were in the past? Yes, 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 and yes. So, did you know that most homes weren't built for us to live this long? The median year homes were built in the US was 1974. Making the average age of homes 47 years old. 6% of the homes nationwide are accessible, and only 0.15% of all homes in the US are wheelchair accessible. Do you think this might be contributing to falls? Absolutely. So as a result, many adult children of aging parents are proactively planning to avoid experiencing what our parents have experienced. It's important to me to share my knowledge and resources to help decrease the epidemic in older adults with falls, and to provide insight and awareness when aging in place is desired. Aging in place is successful when informed decisions are made, peace of mind is attained, and quality of life is maximized for everyone involved. Aging is a process that is constantly changing, creating new and evolving challenges. Our homes need to change as our abilities change. Proactively creating a safe environment maximizes our quality of life and provides peace of mind now and in the future. Does your current home support or limit the safety and independence of those living there? What if a life-changing health event should occur? Think for just a minute. Do you have a barrier-free entrance/exit in your home? When I say barrier-free, I mean no steps. Anybody? Only one person, you have a barrier-free?
Yeah, I go straight in, go from the front door in the garage.
That's awesome. Anybody else? Okay, so that is a concern, and that's a huge concern. Not many homes have a barrier-free exit, and especially for people that are using a mobility device, wheelchair, walker, cane, crutches, etc. If there's an emergency and you have to get out and there are stairs to negotiate, it's a huge problem. So think about, proactively think about what you can do to create a barrier-free entrance in your home. Keep in mind that a ramp, minimal recommendations for ramps, for every inch of rise, you need a foot of length.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lot, and people don't realize that. Especially if you're navigating that ramp independently, 16 to 18 inches is actually optimal. 12 inches, you got to be pretty strong on your feet to be able to negotiate that. And going down, think about that as well, because a lot of people are forward, positioned forward, and that creates momentum, increasing the risk for falls. What about your doorways and hallways? Most of our homes, especially bathrooms, the door is 24 to 28 inches. You can't even get a walker in that door straight forward. You need a minimum of 25 inches for the walker alone. And then you got to have room for your arms or your hands on the walker. So you really truly need 32 inches of clearance to walk inside. Optimal is 36 inches. And what I tell people, and 36 inches is if you use a wheelchair, because you need that extra space for your arms to push, right? And what I tell people when you think about modifying a home is, if you're changing your space, and say you aren't using a mobility device right now, so you don't want a 36-inch doorway, 32, 36-inch doorway, at least have your contractor frame it for that. So when you have to do you progress or whatnot and you're using a mobility device, all you have to do is knock out that space that's already been framed. And it saves a lot of money and time. How about an accessible bathroom, toilet, shower? It's recommended that you have 5 feet in diameter when you're using a mobility device, no matter what room you're in. Most of our bathrooms are teeny tiny. You walk in, you've got the sink, you've got the toilet, and then you've got the tub or shower here, right? There is not much space right here to navigate. And even if you have to turn to, sit on the toilet or sit at the sink, you're running up against a counter. There's no room for you to put a device. If you have a 4-wheel walker with a seat, that's ideal, but there's still limited room. And then as you progress and you need assistance from a care provider or a care partner, thinking about the space between the toilet and the tub for someone to assist you, that's going to be a huge barrier, a safety issue for both you and the caregiver. So think about that 5 feet radius in whatever room you're modifying. And anybody have any questions so far?
So are there things that can be done? I mean, if you're not gonna remodel the whole bathroom potentially, are there other things then that can be done to make it safer?
So my suggestion in our little tiny bathrooms is one thing that will add like 1 inch to 1.5 inches to your doorway is if you get swing away hinges. That will make the door flush with the door jamb. It's not allowing you a lot of space, but it allows you a little bit of space. The other thing could be installing a pedestal sink, or you can get a cabinet that has fake doors in front of it that you can open that allow you to just pull in under the sink. As far as the tub, you can take the tub out and replace it with a 0 threshold shower. Again, if you're independent, it may work. Once you need a care provider, it still may be an issue. So I suggest, and I have recommendations for, Lifeway Mobility is always my go-to for resources for modifications, ramps, equipment, things like that. I also have contractors. I have an OT who's also an interior designer. I love working with her because she absolutely understands the function of the human being within the environment, and she can look at the space and create a very functional, practical, beautiful space for you to function in. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Anybody else? No? Okay. So, an unsupportive environment limits our ability to thrive. When you get used to something, you don't see it as a problem. We just adapt to our environment and with our abilities. With safety concerns, greater dependence on others, missing out on valued activities, depression and socialization happen, and we simply exist. Quality of life for you as well as your family members are affected. All of us want to live independent, healthy, long lives without being a burden to our family. Well, maybe. You might want to get them back. I don't know. So being unprepared creates reactive chaos that can cost you independence and the ability to remain in your home. It also can have a profound effect on relationships within your family. Being proactive promotes independence and helps to ensure you live a safe, purposeful, happy life in the home and community you love. I understand and appreciate that people want to remain in their home for a lifetime. It's hard to give up your home filled with memories of family and friends, something you've worked so hard to get. You've been healthy and independent for the majority of your life, and you don't want to be a burden on your family. You want to be heard, and you want to be understood. You want your input considered when decisions are made that affect your life. And you want the opportunity to succeed or fail in your home. And I am a firm believer. My background is occupational therapy. I've done it for 36 years, specializing in older adults, working in skilled nursing. And so many people want to go home. We all want to be home, for the most part. And so many times people get home and or they want to go home before it's time for them to go home, or they just they're in denial about their surroundings or just have poor insight, right? So my belief is people should have the opportunity to succeed or fail. And everyone should have a plan B if home is not the best environment for them to live in. This is one of the most difficult conversations to have. It instills fear in your parent / older adult. Oh my gosh, they're not going to let me stay at home. And it also instills fear in the adult child in that you're fearful that your parent is going to be resentful of you bringing this up. And truly, it's one of the most valuable gifts we can give each other to have that conversation. And I'm sorry, I'm going through this with my mom right now. She lives in Arizona, and it is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I've been doing this, like I said, 36 years. And you think you know it, you think you know what people are going through, and until you are there, you do not. I can promise you that. And I am grateful to be going through this experience because I can help people like you. I can help people in the community. I can meet them where they're at. I can understand where they are. I can help them process what's going on. So forgive me for being a little emotional today. I just got back on Friday after 10 days of being there, and I've been there 6 or 7 times in the last 6 months. My mom was living independently in her home using a walker in February. And my mom is in assisted living now, dependent for everything but feeding herself. And it is the most, all the feels, you can just put any word out there. And trying to process that in this short of amount of time is just insane. So when I say it's a gift to your adult parent or your aging parent as well as your adult child, it's an essential conversation. And talking about, sorry, go ahead.
Can I reframe it just a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah.
My experience is very different from yours. My father had severe polio as a child and is legally a paraplegic and has been a wheelchair user his entire life. So this conversation is me as an ongoing assistant. We just moved him down to assisted living. My mom passed away several years always considered myself, since I was a small child, as a co-caregiver.
Mm.
If you can reframe it and think of yourself as a co-caregiver, they are their own primary caregiver until the moment they die, because it's not possible to remove their autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
They'll fight you, which proves that they still have sovereignty over themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can kind of reframe it for yourself when you're having those conversations.
Yeah.
To say, I am not looking to take anything away from you, but your quality of life changes based on your decisions. And I want you to have options. I want you to know what I'm here to do, and that I won't enable you to do things that are dangerous. So if you choose to do things that are dangerous, just like you did for me when I was a kid, I'll let you suffer the consequences. If you can reframe it for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
it takes some of that pain away
Mm-hmm.
when you do have the conversation.
Yeah. That's why I frame, when I say care partner, you are a partner in care. You are, or in their care. You are walking the journey alongside of them. And you are their support. I caregiver, yes, but I agree with you. You are a partner in their journey. So thank you for that. That was very helpful.
Thank you for sharing your story.
And I envy people like you that you can vocalize with such beautiful words, because I'm not great at it, but thank you. I appreciate that. And listen to that voice. How calming is that? I go into a room and I'm like a bull in a china shop, and you come in and just like, nice. I like it. It's very good. So anyway, anybody have any questions? Has anybody had this conversation with their adult children, with your parent? Anybody? How did it go?
It didn't go well,
Mine is not going well with my mother either.
but I had to have the conversation with her about not driving anymore.
That's a hard
She
one.
was in her early 90s, and she was making mistakes, and she fought me all the way on that, and really hated me for, having to step in.
What I do with the driving thing, I have a resource. Her name is Jill Kelly. She is an OT,
Me too.
and she does driving assessments. And that way you don't have to be the bad guy. She's local here. She's not in Arizona. But yeah, I'm sure that conversation with my dad, who lives in Iowa, will not go well, because that is taking away a huge part of a person's independence. So.
How do you find resources? Like my mother's in Arizona. I don't know how to find resources in her tiny town.
I can help you with that. That's part of me being a care partner resource consultant. But I'm going to tell you right now, Arizona is lands behind Colorado as far as resources. It's insane. So, yes, you would think. It's just crazy. My mom's in Apache Junction, Mesa area.
Okay, my mom's in Yuma, which is
Oh.
probably even further behind.
Yes,
than
probably.
Phoenix.
I can certainly try and help you navigate that. And I know that there are a lot of people within the senior community resources that if we don't know, we can probably find someone else that does. So, yeah.
I'm from California, and California has, it's a law now, that if you have a medical condition that could affect your ability to drive, the doctor is required to report it to DMV.
Oh,
DMV does an independent evaluation, and, so, and if the doctor, if the doctor doesn't, and it's proven down the road that the driver had a medical condition and shouldn't have been driving, then the doctor is held legally, financially and legally responsible for whatever that person does.
wow.
It happened when there was a lawyer who had a seizure issue, and he had had multiple seizures in college, multiple accidents, and multiple issues. And then he was driving on Golden Gate Bridge, which of course the lanes change, had a seizure, hit a very named political San Francisco activist,
Oh,
and killed her. And that's when California changed the law. So I'm
Wow.
from California, so I know personally, that, okay. But my question is, does Colorado have that law? Because the reason I think in Colorado might be on the edge of that law, because it was actually the VA that turned my dad in, and that, took his license away. He wasn't happy. He caused issues. He would go down to DMV and throw a fit. And DMV, I don't know how my dad was never arrested, but DMV just, because they lived in Highlands Ranch and DMV was walking distance from him down there in Highlands Ranch, and they would just very calmly say, Mr. Cerna, you just need to take the test, take the written test, and if you pass the written test, then we'll do the driving test. Of course, when my dad went in a rage, he couldn't calmly, it's not that he couldn't read, it didn't.
Yeah.
He just couldn't calm down to look at the question and answer appropriately. He just could not calm down. He would just go in there and rage, of course. He always flunked the written test. But that's what I'm asking, is Colorado on that edge of forcing medical providers to report to DMV? Because it was the VA that took my dad's license.
I don't know the answer to that question. I would think Jill Kelly would have that answer, or even a doctor would probably know. I don't know. Kim?
I was just gonna, so the doctors don't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, that's a huge liability.
Potentially lose a patient, right, because they're gonna tick them off. So that, and I came here from California, so I'm familiar with that. But as far as here, they're supposed to, but doctors are reluctant to do it. And you can't force them.
I thought anybody would, like epilepsy, I thought that was just a given, that you
Nope.
cannot drive with epilepsy.
No, my grandson actually has epilepsy, and you have to be seizure-free for a certain period of time before they will even consider giving you your license. But absolutely not. There are, people have rights, is the bottom line. And when I hope, and I think it's really difficult for older adults because it's such it profoundly affects their independence. And do you still drive, may I ask you?
My driver's license up is in November. I'll be 93 in November.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I don't know, it's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm. It is tough because,
I live in a house and I live by myself, and my daughter lives about 3 miles away, but she works. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to drive. There's just any question about it.
yeah, and I hope that older adults, as they age, if you become a safety risk to yourself and or others, that's when I hope that people really try and look within, because Colorado does have amazing transportation resources. The problem is people don't know where to start to find them, and they don't know what they're looking for. And that's our responsibility as resources in the aging space, to educate people about those resources. So we need to do a better job of that.
Well, like RTD has Accessoride. And your doctor, you fill out the initial paperwork, your doctor fills out the following paperwork, and it really is just, if you have any condition that does not allow you to easily get on and off an RTD bus or light rail by yourself, then you get certified for Accessoride. Accessoride picks you up at your door and takes you to whatever. And then with COVID, the gift of that is, because I know, when I had lupus issues before, and I was on RTD Accessoride, it was, that was in 1998, and there wasn't Lyft and Uber back then. But with the COVID, they have now partnered with Lyft and Uber, that RTD, you can actually have Lyft and Uber pick you up at your door and take you to whatever, and they pay for the first $25.
Oh, that's really nice.
You only pay for the Accessoride ride, you only pay $4.50. Okay, but they pay for the first 25, and then you pay for the difference.
Right.
Well, like for me, for most of my place, radius of places I go to, that $25, covers most of, the areas that I need to do. So, I'm only responsible for the $4.50 and the tip.
Right.
But still, financially, when you look at it, doing that is much cheaper than, you know, your car insurance at a senior age,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. I just, you know, if you do, I know it's hard to say I'm gonna give that up, but there are, like you say, resources.
Mm-hmm.
RTD, Accessoride with RTD is now just so much easier now that they have merged with Lyft and Uber.
Wonderful.
That's just, you know,
Yeah.
Lyft and Uber is so easy now, and they pay for the first $25, you know.
Is that for the first $25 per ride?
Per ride. And you can, and now RTD Accessoride, you could take unlimited. It's just once they drop you off, you have to stay for an hour before they'll come back and pick you up again.
Yeah.
But now for the Lyft and the Uber, you can do up to 4 rides a day. A day.
A day.
Wow.
A day. So, yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the radius of what that is based on where you live. Like I can go
Interesting.
as far north as Longmont, as far south as Castle Rock, of course, all the way to the airport, and all the way to Boulder and Golden. So it's a big radius, and it changes based on where you live. You know, obviously if you live in Highlands Ranch, you're going to be able to go further south, and you can't go to Fort Collins. I can't go to Fort Collins, I can't go to Loveland, but I can go to Longmont.
Now, isn't there a financial qualification for that too, for Accessoride?
No, just physically unable to get on and off the bus by yourself.
Interesting.
Because there used to be a financial piece to it.
Yeah,
You know, that,
that
I
I don't
don't know,
know.
I didn't have to file out any financial paperwork, it was just my doctor had to say, can this person get physically on and off by myself, and I can't. So, I don't know, for me, the financial part never came into play, it's just can I get on and off? And I'm from San Francisco, and I'm used to taking public transportation. And
I was
I'm
just-
opposed to public transportation, I just physically can't do it anymore.
Right.
Physically can't do it.
I think that is, what you just said is profound, because so many older adults, even myself, it makes me nervous to take public transportation. I take Uber and Lyft every once in a while, but as an older adult who is vulnerable, can you trust Uber and Lyft drivers? I know a lot of older adults won't use that service because they're very leery about the person that's picking them up. So I'm glad to hear that service is there, but like I said, we have to do a better job of educating people about the services that are available. And there are many services available out there.
And I don't know so much for men, but for a woman, Lyft and Uber now, you can now specify that I only want a female driver. You can specify.
You don't know what you're gonna get.
Well,
Just
that's
saying.
true. But you can specify I only want a female driver. I don't know,
Yeah.
it's, you know.
Especially nowadays, because anybody can identify as a female.
Yeah. You might get a cat. Who knows? But anyway,
You know, there's just,
you have to have a level of trust.
You have to have
It's-
a level of trust.
yes.
And I just, you know, when you get to the financial point of it going like, you know.
Yeah.
What are my options?
Absolutely.
And to me, it just. I
Yeah.
just-
And good for you. I'm glad that you are able to do that and you've been resourceful. So, did you have a question?
I just wanted to add something when we're talking about doctors and being more in control of, you know, their patient's condition and whether they're able to do certain things physically. My mom and her friends had an eye doctor that would pass them so they could get their driver's licenses renewed.
Really?
That's terrifying.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, wow.
So that's, you know, I had to step in and advocate. And
That goes along with what Kim just said. They don't want to be the bad guy because they might lose a patient.
Well,
So
I
there you
guess
go.
The concern I have is my mother will hide. She will not tell her doctor. In fact, she fell and had horrible bruising and everything. A, she canceled her doctor's appointments, and then B, she wore sunglasses to a big, huge. Now, do you think that doctor was fooled? I don't think so.
No.
If he was, he's a damn fool.
Yeah.
But, he didn't do anything.
Yeah. It's an uncomfortable conversation for doctors to have, I think, especially with older adults. Yeah, that too.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I appreciate everybody talking about their aging parents. Unfortunately, my parents are both gone, so I don't have to deal with that. So my coming to these presentations is more for me being proactive, so that when my daughter has to have these conversations with me, I'm not a raging lunatic with her.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel that all of us, none of us in this room are getting younger any moment. We have to put ourselves in their shoes instead of complaining about them fighting us.
Mm-hmm.
We would be doing the same damn thing.
Yep.
As anyone, so it's just a matter of having empathy
Yes,
and
It's
presenting
what
it.
she said, how you frame it
Yes.
absolutely.
for their choices.
But
Yeah.
I mean, with all the presentations I come to, I put together things and update them, so when my daughter does have to have that, my daughter won't have the conversation with me, my son-in-law will, because my daughter would never do it, because she would just be like, throw her away.
Yeah,
There's an ice float.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
My daughter would, yeah, even though we get along, she's like, I'm not dealing with that, so.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we do this, but yeah, it's more of just being proactive of, how can I make that conversation easier, because we all know it's going to happen to all of us, no matter how much we fight it. It's going to happen someday, and so
Right.
we need to.
But
We
it
never know if it
also-
could happen tomorrow, I could have a stroke today.
yeah, and having these conversations when you are cognitively capable is essential.
But will, just put some of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm just going to really quickly mention, if any of you are entertaining the assist in dying option, it is legal in Colorado. That means that you've been deemed terminal within 6 months. You have to have 2 doctors approve that that is true. And should you want to end your life by medication, whatnot, my understanding is you have to be able to administer the medication to yourself. No one else can do it for you. But I'm bringing this up because if you are of sound mind and body and it is not in your will, you need to put it in there. If you want your family, and talk to your family about it. You know, sometimes it's the merciful thing to do. Some people don't believe in doing it at all. I have no, I'm not judging anyone with your decision, but it is legal in Colorado. And if it's something you want to, if it's a preference you have or something you want to entertain, number 1, I would get informed about it. Number 2, I would add it to your will. Okay?
Just add on that note that VSAD, or voluntarily stopping eating and drinking, is legal in all 50 states as well. So I've helped some people here in Colorado that have to end their life that way as well. But that's legal in all 50 states.
Why do you have to have it in your will?
Medical aid in dying? Well,
Yeah.
Just,
Because if you don't have that in your will, you cannot end your life. Your life will be sustained until you die. If you have no quality of life and if you're in a ton of pain, if you are a shell of your being and you're just existing and you don't want to live the end of your life that way, you need to communicate that, and your will is the way to do that.
But you have to go through a doctor, right?
A doctor has to deem you terminal within 6 months, 2 doctors, not just 1, but 2. And you have to be able to administer the drug independently. They can bring it to you, but you have to be able to do it yourself.
I understand that it's very difficult to find anybody who will get the medication to end your life.
no, it's.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, once you qualify, I mean, there's a few programs out there, Denver Health and stuff, that have the program, and you can get, some people have the medication and it's just in their home, in their
Mhm.
fridge, just in case. And there's a large percentage of people that have it that never use it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can certainly get.
Yeah. But they don't hand it out like candy. You have to qualify. Yeah, yeah.
Stroke is the biggest reason that I have heard families talk about an elderly loved one putting it in the will, because in the event of stroke, they may not be able to communicate to the family.
Or dementia.
Dementia is huge.
But then they can't administer it to themselves either.
Right, so if you included it in a will while you were of sound mind, and then you are no longer capable of communicating, and you're not, your body is suffering for those last
But then you
days.
still
Mhm.
can't administer it.
Right, but someone else can, if your family can prove to the doctors that this is in your will.
Oh.
Doctors can assist.
That's good. I did not know that. So that's wonderful to know. I did not know that.
There are some doctors who will refer you to someone else.
Okay.
If it's in your will, doctors, especially if you talk to somebody who's 5 Wishes certified, and if you've included it in as many forms of documentation as possible, once you are not able to communicate, there are several doctors in Colorado at least, who will help your family to help you.
Wonderful. I love that.
You have your family on board, because if your family fights it, doctors are not gonna.
Yep, 100%. Again, reason to have these conversations ahead of time. So we're going to go into falls. We are turning 65 at a rate of 10,000 people a day right now. By 2030, 1 in 5 people will be age 65 or older. Women fall more often than men, interestingly enough. Females over 70 fall more often than men and are likely to sustain a fracture due to lower bone density. Men are more likely to experience fatal falls because they participate in risky, more physical activities. Shocker. Climbing ladders, cleaning gutters, all the things.
I guarantee you, right now, I take a lot of chances.
Hire somebody to do that. Ask your daughter's husband or your daughter to help you.
Well, it's my lifestyle.
Yes, you're a proud man. I understand that. But I'll bet you $1 million that your daughter would do anything for you to have you here and live a quality life instead of climbing a ladder to change a light bulb or a battery.
I don't climb ladders, I fell off.
Oh, jeez.
So maybe you learned your lesson, but no, not really?
And my dad was inside climbing a ladder to install a ceiling fan in his upstairs bedroom. He fell off the ladder, almost fell out the second story window. And I'm like, Dad, and he's he's like 68, he's very, very fit. But I'm like, no, you're not allowed to do this anymore by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, you'll be the first human to fall out of a ladder out the window. Out the window.
Yeah, well, it's that false sense of security, right?
He was very young.
Yes.
I was considerably older.
So, falls are the biggest threat to older adult health and safety. 1 in 4 older adults will fall each year. Every 11 seconds, an older adult is treated in the ER for a fall. Every 19 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. According to the CDC, more than 300,000 people are hospitalized each year from broken hips, and 95% of those are from a fall. Falls in adults age 65 plus are the leading cause of head injuries and broken hips. 1 in 10 falls results in serious injury. They are the most common cause of traumatic brain injuries, people in every stage of life, and result in 800,000 total hospitalizations in the US per year. Falls result in more than 2.8 million injuries treated in the ER annually and 27,000 deaths. Falls are costly. The average hospital cost is $30,000 and rising. After a fall with or without injury, many older adults develop a fear of falling, creating a significant impact on a person's life. Fear of falling creates what? Fear of movement, which creates weakness, which creates decreased socialization, which creates, decreased overall health and well-being, emotionally, physically, and cognitively. So after a person experiences a fall, caregivers report a significant increase in caregiving responsibilities. So we're going to get into the top factors that contribute to falls. In order: age, being female, previous falls, and fear of falling. So 50% of those who fear falling limit or exclude social or physical activities, just as I said, leading to decreased strength and endurance, depression, poor self-care, including hygiene, medication management and compliance, and oral and nutritional intake. Living alone in an unsafe environment, 30 to 50% of falls are due to environmental causes, 80% of those occurring in the bathroom.
Kathleen, I had a client who was in her 90s and using a walker, and I asked her if she had fallen, and she said no, her doctor was having her doing it preventatively. He said sometimes you don't fall and break your hip breaks and you fall.
Exactly, mechanical falls, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep, it's so true, so true.
because of brittle bones or whatever, yeah.
Right, and famous last words, which we've all heard, I'm not gonna fall, I'm really careful. I promise I'm not gonna fall. My mom's,
That's BS.
yeah, it is, it is. So factors that contribute to falls. Decrease in physical function due to a 10% loss of strength and endurance for every decade after the age of 30. Combined with loss per decade, combined with a 30% loss per decade in your muscle power. Difficulty walking and negotiating stairs and uneven surfaces. Drugs, including benzodiazepines used for anxiety and sleep issues, think like Xanax, Valium, Ativan, sedatives, antidepressants, and drugs for lowering blood pressure. Vascular diseases, COPD, and arthritis are all associated with a 32% increase in falls. Visual deficits and hearing deficits. Some things in your home you may not have thought of that contribute to falls. Poor lighting and the type of lighting you have throughout your home. I suggest people install LED lighting, being aware that you don't cause glare or shadows in a room. A lot of times people with visual deficits, it will look like, or say a dark rug in front of a door, it'll look like a hole and they will hesitate to walk over that. The other thing too is, and I've seen this several places, it's insane to me, is patterned carpet. People with visual deficits, it can look like hills, it can look like turns, it can look like the floor is moving. Casinos are famous for it. So, and we don't think about that stuff, right? A lot of times places like this will have this kind of carpet because it helps to make it look less dirty, right? So be aware when you go into places how the flooring looks. And if you're with someone who has macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, those kinds of things, be really conscious about them and maybe ask them, you know, if they're doing okay with the floor patterns. Poor contrast between floor surfaces can increase tripping. My mom took her very first fall, April 2nd of this year. She was actually in a respite community after coming out of skilled nursing, and she was walking from the living room carpet onto the kitchen linoleum, and she fell. And she has not walked since. She didn't break anything, thank God. She didn't have a head injury, but she has not walked since because she is terrified of falling.
She used a walker?
She was using a walker, yeah.
A good one, a rollator.
She's my mom. What do you think? Yes, she's using a good walker.
But you have these things and they're flimsy.
Oh, they are. They absolutely are. Yeah.
I use it because it's quicker.
Yeah.
To get out of the car. But,
Well, and here's the thing too. People just go and grab a walker because they think that's the right thing to do. The proper way to do that is to be seen by a PT, have them assess your gait, have them assess your posture, your strength, your endurance, and have them make the best recommendation for a walker for you. 4 wheels, a lot of times they hesitate to recommend those for older adults because they move fast.
I know, but they have brakes on it.
Well, they do, but your grip strength, a lot of people can't squeeze.
If you need one, go to the flea market. I buy them out there all the time. For
There you
people
go.
that I know who need a walker, I buy them out there for $20. A rollator, $25.
I've got several in my basement if anybody needs.
Yeah.
As
So-
long as it's got the brake on it, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, as long as you're able to grip them, yes. So also reaching and bending for items. Constant falls. If you're sitting in a wheelchair and say you drop something on the floor, people fall out. Or you bend over and you get dizzy. disoriented, things like that. So I tell people, try and store things that you use frequently between your eyes and your thighs. It keeps you from having to reach and bend, or get yourself a reacher. That eliminates that as well. Poor contrast in the color between the edge of the counter and the floor. If the edge of your counter is the same color as the floor, people with visual deficits, it looks like one continuous counter. And that's how things drop a lot. I'm sure we're all guilty of this. I know I am. Using a towel bar for a grab bar. It's not the intended use. They do have grab bars that have a towel bar integrated in them, and that is their purpose. So installing one of those is a great idea. Are you aware of those, Keith?
I have, in my shower, I have 2 grab bars. In my bathroom, I have installed grab bars.
Good.
So when you go into the toilet area, you have grab bars, always.
Good.
And you mentioned that earlier, someone asked about a toilet. I would definitely if you can put some type of grab bar on the wall and to help yourself get up off of the toilet, definitely have that for anybody that's older.
Yeah, and for men too, people don't think about this, but putting a grab bar behind the toilet because they stand, it gives them stability. So a lot of people don't think about that. But I get on my soapbox about this because I believe grab bar placement is custom for every single person. Every one of us, if we were doing the exact same activity, we would do it differently based on our strengths and weaknesses. We compensate. And also, if you think about like my dad is 6'3", 6'4", and my mom's not even 5 foot. Are you going to use the same kind of grab bar for both of those people? No, diameter is going to be smaller for my mother. It's going to be at a lower placement, right? So when you install grab bars, I highly suggest consulting with a professional to have them watch how you move within your environment. If you have a progressive disease, people who are trained in, they understand the natural progression of aging, the natural progression of disease, they can recommend placement of a grab bar and the type of grab bar to meet your needs throughout the progression of your disease and or aging. So I cannot stress that enough.
Now, what kind of professional would that be?
So someone like me, a PT or an OT that's experienced in aging in place. Sometimes people, we'll call a handyman or we'll call our brother or our uncle, hey, I need a grab bar, and they say, okay, I need it at 34, 36 inches and it has to go into a stud. That is not true. Number one, you don't have to have a stud for grab bar placement. They have anchors out there that you don't need a stud for. And if you see a grab bar placed at an angle, it's because they needed to adhere it into a stud, which is not necessary. Some people, an angle grab bar is good if they need to use their forearm for leverage to get up, but most of the time, we place grab bars horizontally or vertically. With that said, I'm gonna have you guys do a quick test. I want you to put your arms out in front of you, and I'm gonna have you, I'm gonna tell you what the best position for a grab bar is for you based on these exercises. So I want you to squeeze as hard as you can. Okay, relax. Now I want you to put your palms up, squeeze as hard as you can. And now I want you to put your hands like this and squeeze as hard as you can. Which position was the strongest for you? Up and down? Up and down for a lot of people?
Not this one.
Yeah. So think about that. That is just one little exercise that I use with people before I do grab bar placement to find out where they feel strongest. Okay? So simple things you can do to decrease your risk for falling. Number one, remove all the throw rugs, all the clutter in your house. Have your physician and/or your pharmacist review your medications so you know if you're taking anything that can increase your risk for falls. Install motion sensor lights throughout your house, especially in hallways, bedrooms, and bathrooms, also in entryways and exits of your home. Consider installing grab bars in the shower and near the toilet. Stay active and maintain your strength and balance. Have your vision and hearing checked annually. Did you guys know that hearing loss is the #1 cause of dementia? #1 cause of dementia is hearing loss.
I still have my brain, and I wear hearing aids.
Yeah.
For 35 years.
Good for you. Good for you. That is a huge step for people to wear hearing aids. My sister, actually, she's younger than I am, and her hearing is awful, and I don't know why. She just had her hearing checked last week. Out of a 10, she's a 2.
She needs hearing aids immediately.
She went to Costco, and Costco put in hearing aids, and they had her walk around the store. She works in retail. They had her walk around the store because it's loud in there. Plus there's echoes, plus there's a lot of people. She could not believe the difference in her hearing. So, yeah, people think that hearing loss is not a big deal, or they think that not having their hearing checked annually, that they can just skip it. It's so important. It's important for many, many things. If someone needs to get your attention, in your car, if there's an ambulance or something like that. I mean, there's just so many reasons that to have your hearing checked and to get hearing aids if you need them. Talk with your family and let them know that you're fearful of falling so that they're aware. Wear proper, well-fitting footwear. Yep. Good for you. And then be aware of your surroundings and minimize distractions. My dad, he fell off of a curb. So, I mean, and curbs are not well marked, so a lot of people fall on them.
Dogs and pets.
That too. Huge.
Really are the #1.
Huge.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, and providing care for them, not just that they run in front of you, but, you know, feeding them, walking them, picking up dog poop, all those things. Yeah, absolutely.
They provide a lot of love though too.
Yeah, I love my babies.
Okay, so since you, yes, I have to wear the Altas because they're the 0 grade.
I love them.
0 grade. Okay, I see a lot of seniors in Hokas, and when I was a packer, this old lady was a packer at Amazon, and I wore Hokas because, you know, they're thin, they rock, all that kind of stuff. But if you're a senior with balance issues, those are the wrong shoes to wear.
Yeah.
Don't let your seniors wear Hokas.
Yeah.
Not Hoka. Yeah, they are.
HOKA.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're just, I mean, they're wonderful, they feel wonderful on your feet, but if you watch the senior, they can't walk. So, and when you mentioned, something about the grocery, and they said go around the car. Okay, so my mother had severe balance issues, whatever, but if I would take her to Sam's and Costco, Walmart, whatever, because putting a balanced senior behind a grocery cart and literally making them, if that's the way they're gonna get their 20-minute exercises a day, take them to Costco, take them to Sam's, take them to Target, talk to the managers, they won't care, but literally make the senior walk up and down the aisles at the big box stores, pushing the grocery cart.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith.
You're doing it, but you're getting all that stimulation, the light, the noise, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So that is the perfect way to get a senior to walk.
Yes.
They're not the walker, but because the grocery cart, they're like this, and they're, having to do all of that.
So I am actually over time. I appreciate all the interaction. I did not get through the other things that I wanted to talk with you about, but you can look on the outline, ways to extend your health span to match your lifespan. Your lifespan is how many years you live. Your health span is how many healthy years you live. And the goal is to increase your life or your health span to match your lifespan. It gives you some things to look at or to do. And then things that you can do to improve your quality of life daily, and they're all free. I'm just really quick. Hydration, light exposure. I'm gonna tell you really quick. Aim to get the first 10 minutes of natural sunlight within 1 hour of waking. The best light is the first 45 minutes of sunlight because it doesn't contain UVA and UVB rays, okay? It helps to regulate your circadian rhythm. Grounding, I was gonna, if we had time, have you guys go out and do grounding. It's, all you need is 3 to 5 minutes a day. Walk in dirt, sand, grass, walk by the ocean. It helps to get all of the negative crap out of your body.
Grounding sheets.
Yeah, grounding sheets are great too. But it basically gets the waste out of your cells when you ground, and your body absorbs nutrients necessary for Mother Earth to create healthy mitochondria, which are the energy of our cells. Mindfulness, meditation, gratitude, breath work reduces inflammation and stress. Cold exposure. Finish your shower with a burst of cold water, or take a cold shower, or take a cold plunge. I've done it. It's not fun, but it's invigorating, and I love it. And then also physical activity for 20 to 30 minutes a day. Focus on your core and your leg strength, because that helps you stay mobile and helps reduce your risk for falls. I hope you guys found this presentation valuable. I appreciate your time. Thank you for spending your morning with me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, how old is your mom?